The Quran is not just a book, it is the living, breathing word of Allah, a message that has echoed through time, changing hearts, nations, and civilizations. It is a book that brings light to the darkest of souls, strength to the weakest of hearts, and clarity to those lost in the chaos of this world. It is a book that was revealed over 1400 years ago, yet its wisdom remains untouched. Its message still as powerful as the day it was sent down. It is the book that has guided billions, the book that has uplifted the oppressed, the book that has been memorized by hearts and engraved into souls. But why does it strike fear in some? Why does this book, filled with truth, justice, and mercy, make some tremble? It is because the Quran is not just words on a page. It is a force that challenges the falsehoods that people cling to, that exposes the lies they have been told, that uproots the corruption they have built their power upon. The Quran does not just call for faith, it calls for action, for change, for transformation. It commands justice where there is oppression, truth where there is deception, and submission to the Creator rather than to the desires of the world. It is a book that does not bow to any system, any ruler, or any ideology. It stands above them all, unchanged, unshaken, and untouchable. Throughout history, we have seen the Quran's undeniable power. It took a desert of warring tribes and transformed them into a civilization of knowledge, strength, and faith. It turned the hearts of those who once fought against it into the hearts of those willing to sacrifice everything for it. It has been the foundation for the greatest intellectual, scientific, and moral advancements known to humanity. And today, in an era of misinformation and confusion, it remains the ultimate source of truth. But those who thrive on corruption and deceit fear the truth. They fear a book that cannot be altered, that does not bend to their agendas. They fear a book that gives people knowledge because knowledge is power. They fear a book that teaches justice because justice dismantles oppression. They fear a book that calls for worship of one God because they would rather people worship their wealth, their desires, their false gods. And so they try to suppress it, distort it, and create fear around it. But they cannot silence the words of Allah. They cannot erase the impact of a book that continues to spread across the world, bringing peace to those who embrace it, no matter how much they try to fight it. For those who truly seek, the Quran is an open door, a door to wisdom, to guidance, to salvation. It is not a book of darkness, but a book of light. It is not a book of fear, but a book of hope. And to those who read it with sincerity, it is a book that speaks to them, that answers their deepest questions, that fills their hearts with the peace they never knew they needed. This is why the Quran is feared by some, yet loved by millions, because it is not just a book. It is the truth, and the truth cannot be ignored. The Quran is not an ordinary book. It is the divine speech of Allah, sent down to humanity as a guidance, a mercy, and a light. Unlike any other text in history, it is not the work of human hands, nor is it subject to the flaws and limitations of human knowledge. It is the word of the Creator, preserved in its purest form, unchanged for over 1400 years. When the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, received the first revelation, the world stood at the brink of darkness. Morality was collapsing, injustice was widespread, and truth was buried under layers of ignorance. But with the words of the Quran, everything changed. It was a call to righteousness, a challenge to the corrupt, a source of hope for the oppressed, and a promise of justice for all. It spoke with a voice that could not be silenced, a force that could not be resisted. The Quran is unlike any human writing. It does not imitate, nor can it be imitated. It carries the rhythm of divine speech, the harmony of absolute wisdom, and the authority of the one who created all that exists. Its words are not mere poetry, nor philosophy, nor abstract ideas. They are the foundation of life itself. Each verse is a lesson, each chapter a revelation, each word a miracle in its own right. Those who hear it with sincerity find their hearts moved, their souls stirred, their minds awakened. It speaks not just to the intellect, but to the very essence of human existence, reaching places within the heart that no other book can reach. It is a book of guidance, a map for those seeking the path of truth. Within its pages, it reveals the purpose of life, the meaning of suffering, the wisdom behind trials, and the keys to eternal success. It gives answers to the most profound questions that have troubled humanity since the beginning of time. Who are we? Why are we here? What is our destiny? How do we find peace in this world and salvation in the next? The Quran does not just provide answers. It provides clarity, certainty, and a sense of purpose that no philosophy or ideology can match. It brings comfort to the grieving, hope to the hopeless, and direction to the lost. It has the power to take a person from the depths of confusion and raise them to the heights of faith and understanding. Throughout history, the Quran has transformed individuals and entire societies. It turned simple desert dwellers into the leaders of a golden civilization. It inspired scientific discoveries, moral revolutions, and advancements in human rights. It created a nation of believers who spread justice, knowledge, and enlightenment across the world. It is a book that does not just exist, it acts. It does not just inform, it transforms. Those who embrace its message are never the same again, for it does not merely ask for belief, it demands a change of heart, a renewal of the soul, and a commitment to truth and righteousness. But not everyone welcomes this change. Those who benefit from falsehood, corruption, and injustice see the Quran as a threat. It exposes the lies they uphold, it dismantles the power structures they rely upon, and it calls people to something greater than worldly desires. It is a book that liberates the soul from the chains of materialism, pride, and arrogance, reminding humanity that true success lies not in wealth or status, but in submission to Allah. And this is why the Quran is feared, because it is not just a book, it is a revolution, a force that cannot be contained, a light that no darkness can extinguish. The Quran is not just powerful in its message, it is unmatched in its eloquence, depth, and precision. When it was first revealed, the people of Arabia prided themselves on their poetry and linguistic mastery. They crafted verses that were recited in marketplaces, they engaged in poetic duels, and they held language in the highest regard. But when the Quran was revealed, even the most skilled poets and eloquent speakers were left in awe. Its words were unlike anything they had ever heard. Neither poetry nor prose, neither the style of scholars nor the speech of ordinary men. It carried a rhythm that could not be replicated, a structure that defied all linguistic conventions, and a power that left listeners either mesmerized or shaken to their core. Even those who opposed the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, could not deny that these words were beyond human capacity. The Quran challenges humanity again and again to produce even a single chapter like it, yet no one ever has. Despite centuries of attempts, despite the rise of civilizations and the advancements of language and literature, no one has been able to imitate its perfection. This is because the Quran is not a human creation, it is divine. Its choice of words, its sequence of verses, its unparalleled balance of meaning and sound, all of it reflects a wisdom and knowledge that is beyond the limitations of human intellect. This is why those who hear it with sincerity feel its weight in their hearts. It speaks to the soul in a way that no other speech can. It resonates with a truth that cannot be denied. It penetrates the layers of arrogance, doubt, and ignorance, striking at the very core of human nature. Beyond its unmatched eloquence, the Quran contains knowledge that was unknown to the world at the time of its revelation. It describes the formation of the human embryo with accuracy that modern science has only recently confirmed. It speaks of the expansion of the universe, the function of mountains, the depths of the ocean, and countless other phenomena that were beyond the understanding of the people of its time. How could a man in the 7th century, unlettered and without access to any scientific knowledge, possess such insight? The answer is simple. These words are not his own. They are the words of the one who created all things, the one who knows the seen and the unseen, the past and the future. The Quran is also precise in its teachings. Every word, every sentence, every chapter carries deep wisdom. Its guidance covers every aspect of human life: faith, morality, law, relationships, justice, and governance. It provides solutions to individual struggles and global crises alike. It does not waste words, nor does it leave room for contradiction. It is a book that remains relevant in every era, for every nation, in every language. No matter how much time passes, no matter how much knowledge advances, the Quran remains ahead, always guiding, always proving itself true. And this is why it is feared. Because its truth is undeniable, because its words are too powerful to ignore, because it speaks to the heart in a way that no ideology, no philosophy, no system of belief has ever been able to do. It is feared not because it promotes violence or division, as some falsely claim, but because it calls people to a higher truth, a truth that shakes the foundations of man-made power. It is a book that does not allow compromise when it comes to justice and morality. It does not submit to the desires of men. It commands men to submit to their creator. And that is a message that the world, built on its illusions of power and control, cannot tolerate. The Quran is not just a book of words. It is a book that has shaped the course of history, influenced entire civilizations, and transformed the way humanity understands life, justice, and purpose. It was revealed in an era of ignorance, where tribal conflicts, oppression, and moral decay ruled the land. Yet, within a single generation, the Quran took a people who were divided by hatred and guided them to unity, knowledge, and enlightenment. It created a society built on faith, justice, and compassion, where the weak were protected, the poor were cared for, and truth was upheld regardless of status or power. It brought the message that no race, no tribe, no individual is superior to another except in righteousness. It elevated women, protected the rights of orphans, and established laws of fairness and morality that would become the foundation of great civilizations. The influence of the Quran did not stop in Arabia. As Islam spread, so did the wisdom of the Quran, shaping the laws, ethics, and knowledge of nations far beyond its birthplace. It inspired scholars to seek knowledge, to explore the mysteries of the universe, to develop sciences, medicine, philosophy, and governance. It was because of the Quran that hospitals were established, universities were built, and scientific discoveries were made. It was because of the Quran that the world saw advancements in astronomy, mathematics, and engineering at a time when Europe was plunged into the Dark Ages. The golden age of Islam, fueled by the Quran's call for reflection and understanding, laid the groundwork for the modern sciences and institutions that exist today. The Quran not only shaped intellectual and scientific progress, but it also created a moral and spiritual revolution. It turned tyrants into humble servants of Allah. It turned enemies into brothers. It softened the hardest of hearts and gave hope to the most broken of souls. The Quran was not just a scripture to be recited. It was a living guide that shaped every aspect of life, from the marketplace to the battlefield, from the home to the palace. His teachings inspired justice, honesty, and dignity in the hearts of those who followed it. It created a civilization that was not just advanced in knowledge, but advanced in ethics, kindness, and service to humanity. But with such transformation came resistance. Those in power feared the influence of the Quran because it dismantled systems of oppression and falsehood. It gave people knowledge, and knowledge is power. It gave them faith, and faith is strength. It took away the chains of slavery, tyranny, and ignorance, and replaced them with submission to Allah alone. It removed the influence of corrupt rulers, false gods, and unjust systems. This was not something the elites of the world could accept, and so they fought it. They waged wars against it. They spread lies about it. They attempted to suppress it, but no matter how hard they tried, the Quran remained unshaken. It continued to spread. It continued to guide. It continued to transform hearts and societies. Even today, the Quran is feared for the same reason. It is not just a religious book. It is a force that challenges oppression, that questions injustice, that speaks to the very core of human nature. It calls people away from blind materialism, from empty pursuits, from meaningless distractions, and instead directs them to something greater. It does not conform to the world's desires. It calls the world to conform to its truth. And that truth is too powerful to be ignored, too strong to be silenced, too eternal to ever be erased. The Quran is not merely a book of history or law. It is a living miracle. Unlike other scriptures that have been altered, rewritten, or lost over time, the Quran remains unchanged, preserved in its original form since the time of its revelation. Every letter, every word, every verse is the same today as it was over 1400 years ago when it was first revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. It was memorized by his companions, written down by scribes, and transmitted with precision from generation to generation. No force in history has been able to corrupt it, and no attempt to alter its message has ever succeeded. This preservation itself is a divine sign, a testament that this book is from the Creator of the heavens and the earth, Despite countless attacks, accusations, and efforts to distort its teachings, the Quran remains the most recited, memorized, and studied book in the world. Millions of Muslims, from young children to scholars, carry its words in their hearts. A child in one part of the world can recite it exactly as another child on the opposite side of the earth without a single difference. It is the only book that has this level of preservation, proving that its protection is not in the hands of men, but in the hands of Allah Himself, as He promised. Indeed, it is we who sent down the Quran, and indeed we will be its guardian. Surah Al-Hijr 15:9. This promise has stood firm against the tides of time, against the rise and fall of civilizations, proving that the Quran is not bound by human limitations. But with this preservation comes fear. Fear from those who do not want the truth to be known. If the Quran had been altered, if its message had been compromised, if it had contradictions or weaknesses, its enemies would have used that against it. Yet they cannot. They have tried to twist its meanings, spread lies about it, and attack its teachings, but the Quran remains untouched. It exposes falsehood, it dismantles corruption, and it calls people to a truth that is undeniable. This is why it is feared, not because of violence, not because of extremism, but because it challenges the very foundations of human power, reminding people that ultimate authority belongs to Allah alone. The Quran speaks with a clarity that shakes those who wish to manipulate the world for their own benefit. It does not change to suit political trends or societal pressures. It stands as a firm, unwavering message that upholds justice, commands righteousness, and warns against wrongdoing. It is feared by those who wish to spread ignorance, for it is a book of knowledge. It is feared by those who seek to divide people, for it unites hearts under one Creator. It is feared by those who profit from deception, for it reveals the truth. The Quran is not a passive book. It is a force that challenges oppression, enlightens minds, and gives strength to those who hold on to its guidance. Even as the world tries to suppress it, the Quran continues to spread. Despite bans, despite propaganda, despite relentless efforts to misrepresent it, more and more people are turning to its message. In the age of misinformation, when people seek the truth, they find it in the Quran. They realize that the fear surrounding it is not because it is dangerous, but because it is powerful. It is feared because it cannot be controlled, because it cannot be rewritten, because it speaks a truth that no force on earth can erase. The Quran is feared because it is the only book that stands as a direct challenge to falsehood and injustice, refusing to be reshaped by human desires or worldly powers. It does not submit to kings, governments, or ideologies. Rather, it commands them to submit to the truth. This is why it has always been a target of opposition. Throughout history, those who sought to control the masses, to exploit the weak, and to manipulate the truth have always seen the Quran as a threat. Because the Quran liberates. It frees the mind from ignorance, the soul from confusion, and the heart from fear. It removes the chains of oppression and replaces them with the light of divine guidance. The Quran is not just a religious text. It is a declaration of ultimate sovereignty, that of Allah alone. It exposes the emptiness of man-made ideologies. It dismantles the illusions of power, and it calls people to a reality that is greater than this temporary world. It tells the tyrants that they are not in control. It tells the oppressors that justice will prevail. It tells the lost that they have a path to follow, a purpose to fulfill, a destiny beyond what their eyes can see. This message is not just inspiring, it is revolutionary, and revolutions are always feared by those who wish to maintain control. When the Quran speaks, it does not speak in uncertainty. It does not leave room for doubt. It declares the truth with clarity, with confidence, with an authority that shakes those who oppose it. It speaks directly to the human soul, awakening something deep inside that cannot be ignored. This is why even those who do not believe in it cannot help but be affected by it. When they hear it, something in their hearts stirs. Some feel peace, some feel curiosity, and some feel fear. Fear because they know deep down that it is not the word of man. The Quran calls for the establishment of justice, and justice is the greatest enemy of corruption. It calls for equality, and equality is the greatest enemy of tyranny. It calls for the worship of one God, and that is the greatest enemy of those who wish to be worshipped themselves. It does not negotiate with falsehood, nor does it compromise the truth. It is firm, unshaken, and fearless. It does not bend to the trends of the world, nor does it seek validation from human institutions. It stands as it has always stood, pure, unaltered, untouched. Despite this, the Quran does not impose itself. It invites. It calls people with wisdom, with patience, with love. It does not force, because truth does not need force. It only needs to be heard. And that is what the world fears the most. Not swords, not power, but words. Words that awaken the soul. Words that remind people of their Creator. Words that make them question the lies they have been told. Words that can transform a person, a society, and an entire civilization. This is the power of the Quran. And that is why they fear it. The Quran is feared because it has an undeniable power, the power to change hearts, the power to transform minds, the power to bring light where there is darkness. It is not just a book of history, nor is it confined to a specific time or place. It is a living miracle, relevant in every era, speaking directly to the soul of every human being, regardless of race, language, or background. It is a book that challenges the status quo, that calls people to rise above their desires, their doubts, and their limitations. It does not conform to human expectations. Rather, it calls humanity to conform to the divine truth. It does not beg to be accepted. It stands firm, unchanged, as a beacon of guidance for all those who seek it. It is the miracle archetype in. There is a reason why people who approach the Quran with sincerity often find themselves deeply moved, even if they had never believed in it before. There is a reason why scholars, intellectuals, and even former critics of Islam have found themselves drawn to its wisdom. The Quran has a way of reaching into the depths of a person's heart, touching something that no other book can touch. It speaks in a way that is both simple and profound, both clear and infinite in meaning. Its verses resonate with those seeking truth, shaking the very core of their being, making them question everything they once believed. The world fears the Quran because it cannot be controlled. It is not a tool for political agendas, nor can it be rewritten to fit human desires. No matter how much effort is put into suppressing its message, it continues to spread not by force, but by its sheer truth. The more people attempt to silence it, the more it reaches those who were never meant to hear it. The more it is attacked, the more people become curious about it. But you think this is the way of divine truth. It cannot be hidden, no matter how many barriers are placed in front of it. The Quran does not just call for belief, it calls for action. It commands justice, it demands integrity. It pushes people to rise beyond their selfishness and serve a purpose greater than themselves. It breaks the illusions that the world has placed before people. The illusion of materialism, the illusion of power, the illusion of control. It reminds people that they are not in charge, that they will return to their Creator, that this life is only a test. And this is a reality that many do not want to face. They fear the Quran because it forces them to look beyond their temporary desires, beyond their worldly attachments, beyond their false sense of security. But no matter how much fear surrounds it, the Quran continues to change lives. It has softened the hardest of hearts, guided the most lost of souls, and given strength to those who had nothing left. It is not just a book, it is a lifeline. It is the voice of the most merciful, calling out to his creation, offering them guidance, purpose, and salvation. This is why the Quran is feared, because it holds a power beyond this world. A power that no force on earth can ever silence. The Quran is not just a book, it is a force, a light that pierces through darkness, a truth that stands unshaken against the storms of history. It is feared not because it threatens people, but because it liberates them. It does not force submission to any worldly power, but rather it calls people to submit to the one who created them. Those who seek control over others fear the Quran because it reminds humanity that true power belongs only to Allah. It is not a weapon of destruction, but a tool of enlightenment, a guide for the lost, a healer for the broken, and a hope for those searching for meaning. No matter how much opposition it faces, the Quran remains untouched, unchanged, and unbreakable. Empires have fallen, rulers have perished, civilizations have crumbled, yet the words of the Quran remain exactly as they were revealed over 1400 years ago. This alone is proof of its divine origin, a sign that it is protected by the one who sent it down. It speaks to the heart, to the soul, to the very essence of what it means to be human. It does not rely on force to spread, rather it spreads through its message, through the power of its words, through the undeniable truth that resonates in the hearts of those who truly listen. People fear what they do not understand. They fear what they cannot control. They fear what challenges their worldview, what breaks their illusions, what forces them to confront the reality of life, death, and the hereafter. The Quran does not offer empty promises of material success or temporary pleasure. It calls people to something greater, something eternal, something that cannot be measured by this world, and that is why it is feared. Not because it is dangerous, but because it is powerful. Not because it divides, but because it unites under one truth. Not because it harms, but because it heals. Yet despite this fear, the Quran continues to change lives. The more it is attacked, the more it spreads. The more people try to silence it, the louder it speaks. Those who truly open their hearts to it find peace, purpose, and strength that no worldly force can provide. It is not just words on a page, it is a miracle, a mercy, a guide for all of humanity, and no matter how much the world may fear it, no force can stop the truth from reaching those who are meant to find it. May Allah open our hearts to His words, strengthen our faith, and allow us to live by the guidance He has given us. May we always be among those who seek the truth, who hold on to it firmly, and who share it with wisdom and patience. And may the Quran always be a light in our lives, guiding us to the path that leads to His mercy and eternal success. Thank you for your time, for your open hearts, and for being part of this journey of seeking truth. May Allah bless you all, guide you, and keep you steadfast on the path of righteousness.